Let's talk about Adobe Captivate and Articulate Storyline. We'll talk about what they cost, what they do, and what the pros and cons are of each. And the spoiler is that, honestly, they're pretty similar. Your decision might come down to your budget and maybe the industry that you plan to work in. So let's jump in. We'll talk about comparisons of the two software. I'll do a quick demo of both Captivate and Storyline authored tutorials, and we'll talk about virtual reality. And we'll wrap up with how to obtain and a little bit about learning your software. So, what is authoring software? Simply, it's software you use to make something else. If you were around for when we started creating web pages, you might be familiar with Dreamweaver used to create web pages. Maybe you use iMovie on your Mac to create fun videos. It's anything like that that's used to make something else. In this program, you're going to use either Captivate or Storyline to make interactive online learning experiences. So Captivate and Storyline are the software, and the thing you're making is interactive learning experiences, also known as tutorials, learning objects, or courses sometimes, depending on who you're talking to. So here's a quick comparison. Captivate, you'll get a license that's good for forever for about $3.99 with an academic discount. You can also do a monthly subscription. It's about $30 a month. Usually it's a 1-year minimum. There's no academic discount for that. It is Windows or Mac. However, the Mac version does tend to be glitchy. If you get the Mac version of Captivate, avoid any major operating system updates. Ask me how I know to advise you of that. Or use the Windows version with either Parallels or Boot Camp on your Mac. If you're at all inclined to tech stuff, I would probably use the Windows version with Parallels or Boot Camp because the Mac version has had some issues in the past, particularly with the Catalina update of the operating system most recently. That was a huge deal. All right, it's working now though, for the record. Articulate Storyline, you've got a couple of options, and it's a little bit confusing. There's Storyline 3, and there's Storyline 360. Storyline 3 is a standalone software. You can get a perpetual license, which means forever, for about $6.99 with the academic discount. You can also get Storyline 360. If you get 360, it's actually a package of software, Articulate 360. Storyline's kind of the major one in it, but there's a few other items that comes with it you may be of interest to you. However, that is a subscription model, $4.99 a year with academic discount. So nothing is cheap here, obviously. The catch is that Storyline and Storyline 360, whether you get 3 or 360, are both Windows only, though, again, you can use Storyline on your Mac with Parallel software or with Boot Camp, and you can get Windows for free from Cal State Fullerton IT. So just keep that in mind. Just because you have a Mac doesn't mean you have to do one or the other. You can still get Storyline if you want, and I would recommend just using it with Parallel software or with Boot Camp. Boot Camp's already installed on your Mac, but you have to set it up, and it's a little bit confusing. I hear that Parallels is a little bit easier. Honestly, I've done neither, but I've heard from students that have done both, and both is a fine strategy. Disclaimer here, these are the prices last time I checked. By the time you watch this video, they may have changed. Definitely contact your software sales team to get current info. All right. So both of these are fine authoring software, and here's what they both feature. Both of them, you can insert multimedia, videos, YouTube videos. They have interactives, including buttons, rollovers, or hovers. Things change when you roll your mouse over, drag and drop activities. You can do quizzes. Those are the basic features. If you want to get more advanced, both of them can do branching scenarios, variables and triggers or advanced actions. Both of them work well with learning management systems. Any self-respecting authoring software for e-learning is going to work well with a learning management system. There are some major differences, of course. Captivate is less intuitive, and this is probably to put it mildly. Captivate has a steeper learning curve than Storyline does. That's partly because Storyline is more like PowerPoint. If you've used PowerPoint, Storyline's going to feel more natural, but it has that steep price tag. Storyline does tend to make prettier things. The newer version of Captivate 2019 can publish for VR's virtual reality. It's a newer feature. It works, but it's not great. There's probably better choices for virtual reality. But if you're really interested in virtual reality, that might shift your decision towards that instead of Storyline. Storyline really is on track to become the industry standard as far as the whole instructional design industry, not just a specific military or corporate industry. But it does not do 360 images or virtual reality, so keep that in mind. If you're not sure which one might be used in your industry, you can browse job postings. The software used might vary by industry. You can search for jobs on LinkedIn or similar, look for job postings related to e-learning. You could also just search for Storyline or Adobe Captivate and see where those jobs pop up that use those. They'll generally say in the job posting which software they want you to be able to use. Unfortunately, I don't have all the answers for you. I can't make this decision for you. You do have to decide for yourself. It's not easy. Most students do go with Captivate because of the lower price tag, and that's totally fine. Captivate is great. It'll get you where you need to go. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of demos. These are in your course as well. Oops, sorry, my mouse just disappeared. Captivate's being, or Mac is being glitchy here. Let's take a quick look at a couple of these. I got more Captivate examples for some reason in the Storyline, but I'll try to find some more examples. So this was created with Captivate. It's called Sort Your Spending. You'll see it has fun animations. You can do that in either software. This is a rollover or a hover, depending what software you're using. When you move your mouse over something and it changes its state, that's called a rollover or a hover. Either software does that. This has kind of got a little bit of a PowerPoint feel of bullet points that appear slowly. Either software can do this. Again, buttons, interactive, either software can do this. This is a drag and drop activity. Either software can do a drag and drop. This is how it looks in Captivate. This person put in a couple of these in. And they'll work really similarly in either software as well. Let's run through these. So that's it. That's the whole tutorial used that used Captivate to create this. You can see there's buttons, things happen when you click on them. It works. Okay. This one was created with Storyline. This person, I believe, was a graphic designer, so don't get too intimidated by how pretty it looks. This one's got built-in navigation on the player bar here. There's like hotspots in this photo. When you click on them, things appear. Captivate can do this as well. I can't remember what all of them are. There's 4 of them at least. Different parts have different functions. There's a little animation that has text appear below each part. Again, either software can do this. And it also has a drag and drop activity where you drag the appropriate label to the item it applies to, you submit, and I got it correct, and I moved on to the last slide. So that's Storyline for you. Everything's customizable. The size of the image or the tutorial is customizable as far as how it fits in my window. You can add or collapse this menu. There's a search box. It doesn't necessarily need to be. There's different ways to make this work. You can take a look at those in class. Hopefully I'll add some more on. You can try these out for yourself, but I mean, overall, the features for each are really similar. It's just how you use the software to make those happen that varies by software. Let's talk quickly about virtual reality. What is virtual reality? It's learning in 3D. Think of those people that have the headsets on that are in another world. But virtual reality can be used on a desktop as well, or on a mobile device. Like if you have your phone, you can hold your phone up and look at other worlds through your phone, or you can pop your phone into a pair of goggles or use a fully integrated set of goggles. Goggles, again, can be phone placed into plastic VR goggles. The goggles can be anywhere from $10 to $40. Or you can get a fully integrated system like Oculus Rift, HTC. Captivate doesn't work with those, but that's what VR is. That's more complex experiences that have been developed for Oculus or HTC. Captivate does create limited virtual reality, and I want to really emphasize limited. Basically, you can put hotspots into 360 images. Storyline does not do any kind of virtual reality or 360. However, you could always create a VR experience with a third-party software, embed it into Storyline, and someone could use it on a desktop. And these are a couple of examples of third-party softwares that you could use to create VR. Scenario VR is pretty fancy. ThingLink is one that has a free version. There's others out there as well. Let's do a quick demo of what this looks like in reality. I hiked the Mount Whitney Trail. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one here. I have an incorrect link there. It was not the VR example. I hiked the Mount Whitney Trail a couple of years ago, and I brought a cheap, emphasis on cheap, 360 camera with me to create a 360 experience of the trail. Now, this is built to be used on a computer. You could use this on your phone as well. And the idea was I wanted to build something that's kind of like, you experience the trail through 360 images as you hike the trail. So this is one of the first places you encounter on the trail. Again, notice I used a cheap camera, a cheap 360 camera, but this is an example of a 360 image from a spot on the trail. Again, this is a couple years ago. This is a $100 camera. It looks kind of crappy, but it was cheap. And this is basically the extent of what you can do in VR in Captivate. You can basically put in hotspots. You can put in text, simple text, and hotspots. This button allows you to exit the tutorial. But I just did a few images of places along the trail so you can kind of get an idea of what the trail feels like. And then I inserted arrows as hotspots as if you're hiking the trail. It's Consultation Lake again. You can look up, you can look down, you can spin around in a circle here. It's actually sunrise on the trail at this point. It's a very pretty spot in the trail. But you can see you can get the gist of that. Another example, this one's a little bit more phone friendly if you wanted to try out this one on your phone or put it into a headset. This is the Pollock Library on campus at Cal State Fullerton. I used a nicer 360 camera to create this interaction, this VR. These are the hotspots. If you're using this on a phone, there's actually a little target that appears, a little dot, and you just hold the dot over the hotspot to navigate rather than using a mouse to click. I won't go through the whole thing, but again, the extent of VR and Captivate is you can use these 360 images and put in hotspots to navigate. That's about as good as it gets. You can embed text, images as well. It's pretty limited. It's gotten better since, but it's still pretty simplistic overall. All right. If you do want to do Captivate for the virtual reality, here's a few considerations. There are a lot of 360 photos available via Flickr. Most of them are copyrighted. You could find some that are free or openly licensed to use. We'd have to be careful about copyright. If you want to take your own pictures, creating VR is a lot more work than non-VR learning. You do have to create your own 360 images by using specialized equipment. You'd have to edit your images. It's a lot more work to create VR. There's not a lot of readily available 360 photos for you to use. There's not a lot of examples out there, so just keep that in mind. So don't choose Captivate just because you want to do VR is my final advice, because there's other software that are probably better for doing VR out there that are also free or have a good trial. Just something to think about as you are considering what software you want to use. And you would need a VR headset for immersive experience as well. All right, so last section of this talk. Once you decide on your software, I want to talk about how to obtain your software. You are on your own to purchase and install the software that you choose. This is a program where we use a lot of technology, and it is expected that you are able to figure out the technology stuff on your own, okay? Both software have sales teams and technical help desks, so when you purchase your software, if you have trouble, you can contact your software's help desk, okay? There's a really wide variety of machines, operating systems, versions of operating systems. I'm not able to help you install your software because I'm not a programmer and I don't work for those software companies. I mean, I'm just not going to be able to help you very well with that. Of course, I'm here to help you use the software, but if you have trouble installing it, contact your software's help desk, okay? You're giving them a lot of money. They will help you figure out how to install it. You might have to pick up the phone and call them, but they will help you. When it comes to learning your software in class, I've got a selection of LinkedIn learning tutorials for you to use. They are much higher quality and robust than anything I would come up on my own, and plus the software gets updated periodically, so it's not a good use of my time to make tutorials, and that's going to be a relatively small part of the class overall, is using LinkedIn learning tutorials. I wish I could beam knowledge of how to use these software into your heads, matrix style, but alas, to learn software, you generally just have to roll up your sleeves and dive in on your own. I am happy to help you learn to use the software beyond the LinkedIn learning videos. If you work through the videos and you are stuck or confused, meet with me. I'm happy to work with you through whatever problem you are having. If you want to learn from a book or something instead, there are books out there that you can work through to learn the software. I mean, you can also learn to use the software just by playing with it. And that's actually my last suggestion is, use the tutorials to get started. But the way I've gotten really good at using the software is mostly by playing with it. And in class, I've got a couple of links that are some good resources to see examples of prompts that you could follow to create something new with your software. You can create games, you create fun interactives, you can see a lot of examples out there. But I do recommend playing with your software. Set aside, half an hour, 2 hours, whatever time you have. Spend the time to play with your software and get familiar with it and see what it can do. That really is the best advice I can give you for getting really good at your software. And then, of course, in class, we'll be creating lots of things with your software, so you'll be ready for those challenges as well. If you have questions, and I know you're going to have lots of them, if you want to discuss your software, please post to the QA form and general chat in class. I do monitor this form. It's at the top of class, but feel free to respond to your classmates as well. Feel free to query your classmates as well if you think they might be of help to you, if you want to ask them what their experience has been. I've used both software. Well, Captivate I've used mostly to teach. I haven't used it in a professional capacity, really. Storyline I've used in a professional capacity as a former librarian working at Cal State Fullerton. I create a lot of tutorials for the library, so I've got a lot of experience with Storyline. I have a lot of experience with Captivate as well, but just not in a professional capacity. But I know both software very well and can help you out, and I imagine that a good chunk of your classmates are going to have experience with the software as well and may also have some opinions for you. Okay, so that's it for this. Please try out the demos in class. Post to that forum to get your classmates' opinions. There are 30-day trials available for both software. So dive in, maybe try them out, see how they work, and then make your final decision. And let me know how I can help.